What's up, everyone? This is going to be a new type of video that will be doing, and therefore I'm actually going to put this on a new channel, PTS Extras. And this channel is going to be just things that I don't think may necessarily be a good fit for my main channel, but still something that I actually want to put onto YouTube for various reasons. And the focus of this particular video is going to be actually how I edit a video from beginning to end. And I think it's going to be a pretty interesting thing to watch. So obviously, we're already in my desktop environment here. So I'll show you the various programs I use, the methods I use, and I know there isn't one right way to do this. This is just the way I've developed, and given that I have over 220 different videos up online already, this method's worked pretty well for me. And I do admit that there are some changes that have happened over the years of doing this to get to where I am now. For example, using different software, just different techniques that I've done. But nevertheless, I'm going to walk you through all the processes. So we are on my Windows 10 machine here. If you're interested in the specs of this machine, I know some people like that kind of stuff. It will be in the description below. But anyway, we're going to go in, and the first thing I'm going to use is a program by Panasonic called HD Writer AE 5.2. And this is what came with my camera, which is the HCV 770. And I used to use this to do all the video editing. I'll show you the newer program I use now. But what I do with this is actually get all the stuff off the camera. It's a lot easier to use this. I can set up folders, as you can see here, and whatnot. But first thing I need to do is go in, copy the PC, and select my removable disk. Now, this is a 32 gigabyte SD card. Again, that came with the camera. It's been one I've been using for quite a bit of time. I must have written a terabyte of data to this, it seems like already. But what's nice about this program is it'll automatically select whatever clips I did not already upload. Now, to save some time in this particular episode, I already did that. Everything's been copied over that I needed. And usually in between actual episodes and recordings and whatnot, I actually reformat that card in the camera, which is always a good idea because it's clean that way. I already know everything's off of it. And then the camera can actually set up all the folders correctly the right way. I don't have to manually do anything with it. So as you can see, there's the stuff in here. I didn't clean this off because I took it with me on a camping trip, and I didn't actually format the camera, so the stuff you see up here is all from the battery box redo that I made. And then there's stuff for the camping trip. That video is on my personal channel. And while I was on the trip, I actually bought a piece of gear and brought it out there with me to use. And since I didn't have time to actually do a video here on it, I decided to do one out there in the picnic bench. And that's what we're actually going to be editing tonight. So if you notice, there's some pictures of the tent and the picnic table, so on and so forth. And then there's pictures like this over here and this over here of the device, which is actually a head-mounted LED light. So you can see there's a picture of me wearing it. Now, these are all individual clips. And some of these are intertwined with the actual camping trip, and some of them are actually me doing the review video. And when I got back, there was stuff in the mail, and there's the rest of the parts of the mailbag video. But you can see this little gray HDD download arrow, and that indicates that this has already been moved over to the hard drive. So there's nothing to do at this point. But if there was, I would select all these, and, well, maybe I'll just do one of them just to show you that. You hit Next, and the cam share folder is one that's set up by default, and this is where I keep most of my stuff until I transfer it over to another folder when I'm done with it. But you can see I have just a few episodes here just still sitting in this folder. And what I normally do is when there's a lot of data and I don't have an idea what I'm going to call this thing yet, I would actually go to the specified folder here and type in temp. And you can see there actually is a temp folder over here. So it'll take all the stuff and put it in there. Otherwise, what I do is I go into an Excel spreadsheet, and you have to bear with me here because I just cleared out my cache. But I have this actually set up where I have everything in a file to actually make it easier to keep track of this. And I've showed this off before, but just real briefly, this is a list of every episode I've ever made with a link, the date I actually uploaded it, and how long the video is. And I just do this for me. Now, you see there's some highlighted in red. there's actually something I'll be announcing in a couple of videos from now, once I work out the logistics of it. But some of these are actual episodes on my main channel, and they're going to get moved over to another channel. So there's some big organizational things that are going on. But what I do is I come in here and I pick a name for my channel, for my actual video. So you can see here, this is episode 198, Lux Pro LP345 multi-mold, multicolor headlamp review. I try to make descriptive titles and ones that aren't terribly too long, but something where you know that it's something. And you can kind of get an idea of what it is from the actual title. And the other thing is I came up with this idea for the naming of episodes because other YouTubers do that. Some just pick a name, some have an episode number. The main Pileggi Technical Services page was supposed to be like a show, and each show was a different episode number, and that's why I did that for this particular channel. My other channels are not going to have that particular layout because they're going to be different, obviously. But anyway, now that I have a name, what I normally do is just keep this open, and I can just right-click and copy, and then I can paste wherever I need. I don't have to type it out every single time. So that saves me some time. And what I actually did was, in this program here, you can see I already moved the ones over from the temp folder. I'm just going to exit out of this and put them into that particular folder. So these are all the clips that I need to make that particular episode. So pretty straightforward, I think, so far. This is just, again, an organizational thing. I can import stuff from the camera using the newer software, but I'm just used to using this one. And when I set up the folders this way, not only does it take the actual video files, but there's other files that go along with it, which you're not seeing here. But if I go in, and this stuff all sits on my data hard drive, there's multiple hard drives in this computer, we can go in and see that there's these other like container files and whatnot, and these are what are created by the camera. So using the Panasonic software will move all that with it. So if you pick this one picture here and you put it into the temps folder, when you go into here, you'll actually see that this will take that back over there with it. So I don't have to do any thinking. It does it for me. So that's definitely an easier way for me to do it. So once I got the name of the actual episode and I have all the raw files moved over, I don't need this anymore. And I can actually minimize this for now. And we'll close out of Explorer because I don't need that either. And we'll open up the program I use now. And this is Sony's Movie Studio Platinum 13. And I've already moved up to 14, which is now by Magix. They bought out the Sony title. But I don't really like 14, honestly. It's got some bugs that need to be fixed out before I want to use it as my mainstream editing program. But once we go in here, this takes just a moment. And this is a 64-bit operating system. And you can see these are all my recent episodes. In fact, it opens up my very last one, which was episode 197. And what I'll do is I'll go into New, and we'll browse for that actual episode folder, so 198, and we'll click Open. And I'm just going to click any one of these pictures here, because what this is doing is it's actually going to take the video and it's going to match this entire file to the rest of it. So it's going to pick 1920 by 1080 and 60 frames per second. And I can pick other formats if I'd like, but I want to go with the match media settings because that's, after all, what I recorded it in. And I mentioned the whole Excel file because now I can go over here, right click, copy this, and paste down the name. So now it's going to name it the same thing. And you see it's already set up to that same CamShare folder. That's just something I did in settings. And then when I hit manage the project files, it's going to go ahead and now point it to the same folder. It's a little counterintuitive because we already did all this, but if we use the camera, actual card from the camera, and transfer the files over manually to another folder, we could set the folders up this way. But we already did all that stuff, so it's just pointing it over to the correct folder. So when you hit OK, you'll get the blank slate. And I'll mention right now, this is actually 1360 by 768 resolution. I'm viewing this on a 37-inch computer monitor. So while it's nice and big, I don't have that great of a resolution. So there's little things like there's not a lot of room for everything on here. You can actually, move some of this stuff around if you want, make things bigger and smaller. And I don't need all these tracks. In fact, if you want, you can actually minimize some of these just to give you some more room. And I'll do that as I go through, because certain things I need and certain things I don't. And there's also simple mode, advanced mode. I just like advanced mode because it gives me options. But anyway, project media is where you'll actually load up all the individual clips and whatnot that we're using. So when you go to add media, we have to, again, point this to the episode 198 folder, and we can select all of the clips that we're going to load into here. Now, sometimes I have little flubs and stuff, and when I go to do this, it might be a day or two later after I record everything. So I just pick everything out, and then when I get to those flubs, I'll take them out at that particular point. So I'm just going to go ahead and open up all that. And then there's another piece that I need to open, and that's actually the little card that I insert the logo reels folder. And if you've been a subscriber to this channel for a while, you'll know that that's actually changed. The beginning used to have a little video file that played, and I've upgraded that. It was a little hand-drawn thing I zoomed in on, and as I said, Pileggi Technical Services, your computers and concierge service, or whatever it used to be. And just some family members said that kind of was a little cringeworthy, so I decided to take it out. I updated it, and then ultimately I just took it out. So now it's just a static 1920 by 1080 image that I insert in the front. So, of course, now that's down at the bottom. And that's where we start from. So the rest of this is just going to be dragging and dropping all these different pieces in. And I'm going to do this one for one without any breaks or anything like that. I mean, every once in a while I may take a sip of my beverage here. But other than that, we're not going to make any breaks. So if this is a 20-minute episode, it's going to be 20 minutes of that video we're going to watch, plus all the commentary here on top of it. So we're going to start off with that actual first little clip, which was that beginning little card that we'll call it. So we'll drop that down here in the video, and I like to make that 3 seconds. So if you look here, here's a little time base, and we can zoom in and zoom out. And one thing, wherever your little time indicator here is, when you go to zoom, that's where it's going to zoom into. So if I want to click over here, I can zoom into this little section. So that's one thing to be cognizant of. But you can see 0, 1, 2, 3. That's obviously 3 seconds in. So I can trim this back right there to 3. And you can also see at the corner of the screen over here, as you're dragging this, that goes up and down too. So you can actually see how long that clip is. And then the other number here is how long the complete project is. So that pretty much does that for the intro. And then lately what I've been doing is actually dropping down the episode number right on top of that. So that's a media generator. And that there's many different generator types, but if we click on that, we can go down here to titles and text, and sample text obviously is the one we want. So that drops down about a 10 second long clip here of the sample text. Now there is one slight little issue that I just haven't worked out yet, and the reasoning is because I just recently redid this computer. And I'm talking operating system wise. I originally had 7 on here when I built the thing, then I upgraded to 10 because I had 10 on the old computer. And, well, long story short, the sample font that I used is one I downloaded off the internet called Future of Book. And when I redid everything and re-put all this software on here, I forgot that I actually had downloaded that. And when I re-downloaded the font, I didn't get the right one. So if I go in this list here, it does not exist. It's not here. So until I work out what the correct font is, I just have a workaround, which is I go into Word and I type in the text that I want and highlight it, and then I can actually change it here, Future of Book. And 48 is the size I use, and then I can just copy and paste that right into here. And even though it still says Verdana, it is indeed Future of Book displayed. And that's my default font for everything I do, my logos, my business cards, everything has that matching font, even when I type up an invoice. It just keeps it nice and consistent. But anyway, we need to make this black, so we'll just turn this right down. And what I also do is I put a little outline around it. So we can actually click down here, and it's 3 pixel width, white. We just leave that as it is. I can come up here and change this to 3 seconds. and then the location is actually, it says 0.5 because that means it's deadpan in the middle here, but we don't want that. We want actually towards the bottom, so I changed it to 0.5 comma 0.15, and you just type the numbers in and press enter and it moves it. But changing the duration at the top doesn't actually change it in the clip. If you move this, you can click on match event length and it will change the number here to match, and that's for animations and stuff like that. But if I scale this back, it should snap right there. And it snaps not only because we changed that number, but it also snaps because there's a time event below it. So if we actually go to start here and play this back, you can see it's just going to put that 3-second static clip up there with the episode number right below it. And if you're really curious, yes, we can zoom in here. And it did make that white border around the text, so it actually looks like a cutaway at the graphic behind it, the circuit board graphic. And the Circle P and the Pileggi Technical Services text is already set up like that in that actual card. So I don't have to do much. The other way to do that would be to do this manually in an editing program and then insert, make that graphic for every single video. This is just an easier way for me to do it personally. But then we can go ahead and start building this. Now I can either do this clip by clip, or I can insert the whole lot. The last couple ones I did a clip by clip, but that's also because it was a mailbag, or one of them was a mailbag video, and I actually had to put the video that I recorded with the camera followed by the stuff I did screen capture with. So it was easier to build that one clip by clip. This one, we're going to do the whole lot here. Oh, and you should see also, by the way, that text that we created is part of the media bin. So once you make one of those, it automatically appears here. So if we needed to, we can always bring that down and do it again. But anyway, I'm just going to click the first one here and then hold down Shift and then click the last one here. And this is actually an auto preview, so I can turn that off to prevent that from happening. But we'll do that again and select all those and drop them right here on top of video. And you can see it already went out to the end. This is a 10-minute video, which is kind of short for me. Usually, you guys know they're much longer than that. But we'll zoom out here, and we can see what this looks like. It already built all the waveforms. It started doing this, actually, when we dropped them into the media bin. But if I click at the beginning here, we can actually zoom right in, and you can see where all the pauses are. But if I move this over, you can see it moves it, and it also shuffles over. That shuffling over is what they call auto ripple. I have that enabled. If I go ahead and undo that and go to auto ripple and shut that off, if I move this, you can see it does not move it over. And if you now manually move this over at the end of this clip, you could have a gap. Sometimes it doesn't, sometimes it does. But anyway, let's turn that back on because that's helpful later on. So we'll see. It just goes from this right into...
Welcome back. We're actually on location today at Clarence Fawn Stock State Park.
So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to shut up for a little while, and I'm going to continue on with this, and we'll start it right back here. I'll let it go through, and when I get to a part I need to edit or cut something out, I'll actually do that at that point, and I'll explain what I'm doing. But I'm just going to go ahead and just watch everything I recorded back until I find something that needs to be fixed.
Welcome back. We're actually on location today at Clarence Fawn Stock State Park at site number 28, where I'll be camping for the night. It's not that great of a night, honestly. It's supposed to go down to 35, which is kind of cold for May 8th, but either way, that's not the point of the video. The point is, as you can guess from the title, is we're going to be doing a review. So I thought it'd be fun to actually do one of these out in the wild. Now, it is getting pretty late. It's actually just 7 o'clock right now, so I don't have the best lighting for this, but that's fine because the item we're reviewing is actually going to be a light. Now, I picked this up last minute because, frankly, the headlamp that I had is actually one of those ones that clips to the brim of a hat, and it only takes a single AAA battery, and I don't have any of the specs right here in front of me now. When I get back home and I edit this video, I'll definitely put those up into the video screen somewhere here.
Okay, so I just paused the video, and because I mentioned there's something I had to put back up into it. So I'm going to go ahead and get the information that we needed from this. Now, I just happen to have here the actual packaging that this came in, and I should have on my desk here somewhere a receipt for this thing, because I think I mentioned the price. Let's see. We'll go back over here.
And I don't have any of the specs right here in front of me now. When I get back home and I edit this video, I'll definitely put those up into the video screen somewhere here.
So let's see. I purchased this at $14.97. So I want to put that into the video. So we'll go in the media generator. We'll take the sample text thing again. We'll pop that up here. And I'll just quickly put down price. Oops, bad at typing too. $14.97. I could put in item number 759416, and we'll even put in model number LP345, 210 max lumens, 6 modes, so on and so forth. Now, I do remember actually mentioning in the video all this stuff, so this may be a little bit redundant, but we'll put this in here anyway, because just for the sake of the argument. And well, as you can kind of guess with the font, I can't just go in here and change it again, so I should have just did this all over here, but kind of hindsight thing. But since I have this all here, we'll just clean this up a little bit, put over here. And obviously this is going to be way too big to fit in that screen, so we'll just pick another size over here. Let's go with 20 for now, see how that looks. Future book. Maybe we'll even bullet point it. I'm not sure if that'll translate over. I've never tried that, but let's try it. See if we paste it. Yeah, okay, so it took the bullet points with it. Now, we could leave this white. We can make this black. We can do a couple different things here with the color. And I know one thing I need to do is just hit delete here, so it takes away the 48 font size past this. And you can notice there's a little box in the preview here. We can actually move this around anywhere we want. So I can stick that at the end. And obviously this is too long too, so we'll back this up. And you see, once I start moving it, it's visible on the screen now. And let's see, that's a little over 3 seconds. And you notice this goes in, it gets to 26, 27, 28, and then 30, and then goes right up to 4. It's not in seconds. I think it's in samples, or either way. I think around 4 seconds should be fine. If we can change that up here too. But I want to be able to see that. So if I move my time marker back over here, we can see that now. And 20 just a little too big. Maybe we'll try 18. That looks fine. Now I can make this white. I can make this black. I want to try to make this easy to see. Let's see. Let's take Lowe's item out and just make it Lowe's number. And we'll put that right there. So now when I come back here and hit play.
But in
fact, I want to move that over just a touch more, so it comes up.
I'll definitely put those up into the video screen somewhere.
I want to get it so it comes up right there.
Goes up into the video screen somewhere here, but it goes pretty dark on you pretty quickly. And I picked this one up because I saw it on the way out of checking out of Lowe's, where I also picked up some foam mats to make a floor out of the inside of the tent. But I like this one because it has one main light, and then it also has some side lights, and you can see it has red, white, and green. Now the red keeps your night vision, and the other one I had also had the red. But the white's nice because that acts as like a little bit of a floodlight, so you can use it for up close reading and stuff. And the other one's a spotlight for more further transmission. And this one, as you can guess, is one that actually has a regular head strap, so I can actually wear this with any kind of hat. And at some point tonight, I'm sure I'm going to have on some kind of a beanie hat or something like that, because just a regular ball cap isn't going to cut it when it gets cooler out. And this will be perfect for that. And then green, well, people use that when they go hunting to find deer blood, basically, as far as I remember. We can see some of the specs over here. Has a 210 lumen brightness. There was another one that was a little bit higher than that was right next to it, but I just opted for this one because I only had so much money to spend on the thing. Has a 6-hour runtime, and that's going to be this main spotlight here. I don't plan on using it that long. It's just going to be to get from here down to the bathroom and back again. 80-meter distance, which is pretty nice. Water resistant ingress. It's water
Okay, so
resistant.
clearly I flubbed there. So I need to take that out. So let's rewind it for a second here.
80-meter distance, which is pretty nice.
So I'm trying to talk about ingress protection and whatnot. And obviously here I just stumble on my words. And when I stop talking, I'll pause for a few seconds so I can see that there's a gap over here. So I have an idea that I messed up. And just visually watching this back with you guys, I can see that. So I just listen to what I'm trying to say. Sometimes I don't even have to actually watch the video. I can do something else in the room and just hear myself talking and go, oops. Just have to rewind that back and fix it. So this is easy. You just go in here and highlight this section right like this. Right click and cut. So now when I come back, it goes like this.
80-meter distance, which is pretty nice. It's water resistant to IPX4, and it's also impact resistant to 1 meter. And we're not going to do any kind of tests like that because I don't want to ruin a perfectly new device. But if we want to look at the back here, it tells you what the run times are. On low, the spotlight runs 16 hours, so that's pretty good. I also have a little small flashlight I keep in my pocket as well, so this probably isn't going to be my main source of light, but this will be on my head at all times. It's always good to have extra lighting, especially when you're out here in the woods. And speaking of lighting, I could turn my little camera light on. That might make it a little bit better. But yeah, this is pretty simple. If you want to read any more of this, I suggest just pausing it. But I'm going to go ahead and open this up right now. We can take a look at this thing.
Now just pause for a second. You may have noticed that there was a gap over here. I closed that gap up. This was before I was talking about auto ripple. When I was zoomed out and we had auto ripple shut off, it looked like everything moved over with it off. It did not. If you click over here and I zoom in, you can see that that gap is there now. So again, sometimes this thing is wonky and it doesn't want to do what you want it to do, especially when you're trying to show it off. And sometimes it does. But that particular time, it left the gap there, so I just closed that up, obviously. So we'll continue on here. I think I should just back up just a moment. This is all one clip here. And this is where I was talking about opening it up.
80-meter distance, which is pretty nice. It's water resistant to IPX4.
Yeah, I apologize. That's right here.
And it's also in. Now it's nice because it does come with the batteries, and these are actually alkaline batteries. They're not like super heavy duty or heavy duty zinc batteries or anything like that. So that's a plus. And then also, it does have the 3 different straps, so it is pretty adjustable. I have to get this set up from my noggin, but they're nice soft straps. They have some elasticity to it, so that's pretty cool. That's just the anti-theft doohickeys. We'll just throw that to the side. And it is adjustable, so once you get on your head, you can aim it downwards, which is really nice. I like that feature. Looks like to get the batteries in, this just pops open like that. Pretty simple. It does have a, I'm not sure what this is. It might be silicone. I'm not sure what kind of insert that is there. And when I get back home, before this is actually a complete video, I will open this up since we have the opportunity to do that. And we'll see.
Okay, I'm going to pause this again because I mentioned in the video I was going to open this up and show you what it looked like before I completed this particular video. Actually, while I was there, that later on that night, I actually closed out the video saying thanks for watching, so on and so forth. So what we'll do is, and I'm pretty sure of that, we can actually go over here to the end and confirm that. Let's just see.
Any kind of general tech videos, don't forget to subscribe.
Yeah, so I closed out the video over there, so we don't actually have room to do the teardown in this video. So I'll make that into a second video. So I want to make mention of that. So let's just back up over here.
And when I get back home, before this is actually a complete video, I will open this up since we have the opportunity to do that, and we'll see what it looks like inside.
So right about here, again, we're going to put some sample text in, and I'll do it smart this time. I'll do it right over here in Word. And let's just turn this off, and I'll say, I lied. It will be in a separate, I always spell that wrong. Thank God for spell check, you know, especially when it's automated like that. Dot. So we'll insert this into the video here. Again, grammar check's good too. Just shows you, I'm not perfect. I don't think any of us are perfect. I don't want to pretend that I'm perfect. But, when you do make these videos, you do have to have some kind of semblance of perfection. But you see 0.85, we'll just stick that up at the top. And again, this will be a short clip. We don't need this to be very long. 3 seconds again, maybe even 2 seconds. Just something to flash up on the screen for you. So go.
It does have 2 switches.
And if we want, we can do the shadow thing on this too. I didn't do it on the last one, but perhaps maybe I'll go back and do that. Since this is a small font, maybe we'll do it 1 point, and we'll do a black back, border on this. And the reason why I like doing shadows and stuff like that, or I should say outlines, is because it just makes it look nicer, especially like against my skin over here where it's white and white text on top of the skin. It makes it easier to read sometimes, or against like the 28 in the table. Depends on how thick you have this. You might even be able to nudge it up to 2. In fact, I will actually go back to this other font here and do the same thing, since I am thinking of it. And to do that, you right click on it and then go to Edit Generated Media, and then you can go in and change any of this at any point. And we'll do 3 on that since it's a little bigger. Black. And this is, if you've watched my videos long enough, you'll notice these things. But yeah, you can see the little black outline around it. And where it's white over here in the 20, it just makes it stand out a lot better. And sometimes I do black with white, or white on black. It really depends on what I'm shooting. Well, anyway, back to the video.
It does have 2 switches. This one's going to be the main switch, it looks like, and this is going to be the secondary one. So we'll go ahead and pop some batteries in it and see what this looks like.
All right, so you saw I gave it a little bit of time before I actually hit the stop button on the camera. So we'll back this up over here, and with auto ripple on, it should shoot that right over, as you can see. And then we'll do the same thing over here, because this is just a little leader. So whenever I do this kind of trim, I usually back up just like a hair, and I play it back, and I just make sure that transition's pretty smooth.
Looks like. All right, and just like that, they're in. So we're going to go ahead and push the main power button here, and that does indeed turn on that spotlight, which is pretty nice and bright. I mean, it's still daylight out here, but that's actually changing the camera. Now on the screen, it looks like it's got a little bit of a shimmer to it. I'm not sure if that's just the way the camera's picking it up, because it doesn't look like that to my bare eyes. We'll definitely do another a quick take at this at night once we're actually in the dark. Hit it again, we're on low, and then hit it again, we have that kind of annoying strobe light that a lot of these have, but it is useful. And then we have white first, which is, well, I always say with these, I'd like it to go red first. A lot of these, when you have your night vision and and by night vision, I mean just your natural being in the dark night vision, and you hit this button and you go right to white, you lose your night vision. Then it goes red, and then it goes green. So it would be pretty nice if we saw red first, then white, and then green. But either way, it still has those features, which is pretty good. But yeah, that's always the thing. I've reviewed other items that have red and white lighting in it, and it seems that it does the white first, then red. Or if it has a low, medium, high setting, it always goes high first and then down to low. I would rather see it start at low and then go high. So if you only need a low light, you don't, whatever. I guess it's everyone's preferences. Perhaps if it was really a great item.
All right, you know what? I just thought about over here where I say I guess twice.
Whatever. I guess it's everyone's preferences.
So we can try to fix that.
Whatever, I guess.
So this is where I say I guess. So if we move this out, we should be able to delete right here.
Whatever, I guess it's everyone's preferences.
And there's just a little bit of, I think I say I guess here again. So this is where I just start to like get my little thought out. So if I trim that right out, this should be pretty smooth.
Whatever, I guess it's everyone's preferences.
Sometimes you have to really fuss with this just to get that right. And sometimes it's just being a little anal. You don't really need to necessarily do that, but...
Whatever, I guess it's everyone's...
The other thing you could do, we'll undo this. This Control Z makes it easier. You could also take this, I guess, out.
Whatever, I guess it's everyone's.
Sometimes you have to try it both ways.
Whatever, I guess it's everyone's preferences. Whatever, I guess it's everyone's preferences.
Or, honestly, sometimes it's just better to leave it. When you get into editing and doing all this stuff, sometimes it just doesn't sound natural. So, obviously, this sounds natural because you know I'm getting my thought, um, basically. And if you cut it, it sounds like you're stuttering. So it really, when you make these videos and you edit them and you get everything else, sometimes you can really just overdo it. And I've had videos that I've sat here and cut every little and like, and just it's took hours to do that. And then afterwards, after doing all that work, I wasn't happy with the result, and I didn't feel like undoing it all because I did it all. And then when you upload it, you ends up getting a lot of dislikes on the video. So sometimes it's just better to leave it. I mean, there have been plenty ones that I've been able to take out and it sounded great, and other ones like this doesn't really sound as good. So I think I'll just leave it. Also, if you want to have some fun, you can highlight a little section here. Anyway.
Whatever, I guess it's everyone's preferences. Perhaps if it was really a great item, it would be a little bit programmable where you could set the sequence. I have a mag light that's like that, where you can actually adjust what features you want the thing to have. So you can actually disable the strobe light if you don't want that. Or if you're a cop, you're not going to turn the light on. You might want momentary, so you can just hold the button down. But that's neither here nor there. It looks like it has a fairly decent kind of retention system in it. We'll see as I use it how this thing actually works. But I'm going to go ahead and just quickly get this adjusted to my head.
There's another little part. We'll just trim this back here. And we'll trim this part back here. If I want, I can actually put little transitions in here too. But either way, we'll just leave it as is.
This adjusted to my head, and it actually looks like right off the bat it adjusted pretty well. I just had to snug it on, and it's not too tight. You can see I got plenty of room on here, and if I needed to give it some more adjustability, I can do that if I want to make it a little tighter, but it's actually pretty good. And yeah, pretty cool. I like it so far. We'll have to play with it a little more. It'd be nice if I don't know if it'll do it or not, but it'd be nice if you could just hold it down and have it shut off. Yeah, see, as soon as you click it, it automatically goes to low and then strobe. So it is what it is, but it'd be nice, like I said, if you could just hold it down. I have other ones like that where if you just hold it, it'll ramp up and ramp down, but again, that's a preference thing. Well, we'll see you guys in a little bit once it gets actually dark out and we can test this thing to the fullest.
Once again, another little piece here. We'll trim this back here. We'll trim this here. Now I go from light to dark, so perhaps later on we'll put a transition over here just to be like later that day kind of thing.
All right, well, it's about 9:30 now, and it's dark enough to show what this light looks like at night. Now, there's actually a good clearing in the sky, and this moon is shining, and luckily there's enough light to see where I don't really need anything. Now, I do have the camera light, obviously, shining on me so you can see my face. Of course, without that, I'm invisible. But to the naked eye, it is pretty easy to see out here. So I'm just going to pan the camera around real quick, and we'll see maybe a little bit of what's going on here. The table you can see, the tent in the distance you cannot. Now I'm going to focus the camera on that little glowing light in the distance. That's just a citronella candle that I have out here just to give me some background lighting. But if I shut my camera light off, I can actually go ahead and shine the spotlight out there. And that does have a pretty decent throw. I can see pretty far out into the woods before it just turns to pitch black light out there. And that does have a pretty decent out there.
Sorry about that. I'm trying to do
spotlight out there. And that does have a pretty decent throw. I can see pretty far out into the woods before it just turns to pitch black. The next mode down is the lower wattage, and on the camera you can't really see much, but it's still pretty good. And then we have that obnoxious strobe light. We also have the floodlight, red light, and green light. And for those, I'm going to shine down onto the table here. So there's that green floodlight. That's off. That's white. And there's red. And I know the camera exposure is going to hide a lot of this. It is in the low light mode, so hopefully it does pick up some of it.
Just on the side, watching this episode, I could not see any of this on the actual camera's viewfinder. So watching it back on my computer here, it's nice to see that it did actually pick up something.
But to shut those off, and then I'll show you what the spotlight looks like. You can see it's a nice focused beam of light. And then there's the mid light, and then again strobe light. I'll only put that on for just a moment because it is, like I said, pretty obnoxious. But yeah, so far I'm pretty happy with it. I've been wearing it on my head most of the evening tonight, and I do have a beanie hat on underneath it, so I barely even noticed it strapped to my head, to be honest with you. And well, let me just get myself back into frame here a little bit. You can see how it fits on the head. It fits pretty good. And what's nice is I can keep it underneath my hoodie like this, and it still shines out. But tonight, like I said, since it's such a bright night out, I was able to walk down to the bathroom area over here and not have any issue with being able to see. But just as for curiosity, I angled this down a little bit and turned that red light on like that, and it looked pretty good. Of course, green projects a lot more than the red does. Certainly not as much as white does, but it was pretty good. But if I could also point this at the camera and see that it completely floods everything right out, the camera has to adjust to it. And low light isn't much different, and once again, because I have to go through it, the strobe light. That's the only knock I can give about this thing. I wish you can hold down the button and have it shut off without having to cycle through all the modes. But it is what it is. It's a pretty decent light. So I want to thank you for watching this review video, and if you want to see more videos like this or just any kind of general tech videos, don't forget to subscribe if you're not a subscriber. And we'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.
So now we're at the end of the video, obviously, and I'm just going to scale this back just right about there. And lately what I've been doing is inserting a black section of video at the end. And this was something I did in the original editing software. And it was pretty easy to do. And then just recently I figured out how to do it over here. So we can actually go back into the media generators, and there's actually a solid color option. So we can go in here and click in this, and we want 20 seconds because the YouTube end card section that they have now allows you to put links to other videos and a subscribe button and so forth at the end up to 20 seconds. So sometimes I mention click here, do this, do that. That's where I'll start that actual point. And you have 20 seconds to display that, and then the video ends. So if you know how to time it right, you can mention that. And let's say I say click here, and I'm pointing on the screen, click here to subscribe. And then 10 seconds after I say that, the video ends. I can add 10 more seconds of just black nothingness, and that will stay up on the screen for the full 20 seconds. It just makes things, a little easier later on when we go do end cards and stuff like that. But since I didn't really do that in this video, I'll do that here. So there's our black, just nothingness for 20 seconds. And we'll stretch this out for the 20. Now, it should snap. Bam, right there at 20. And then I'll zoom out here for a bit, and then we're going to insert some more text here. We'll put that up there, stretch this out to the 20, and this time we're just going to do a simple just like that, and copy that and paste it into this box. And this is going to sit at 85. Let's see how that looks. Now I might need to go a little bigger. So if again, we'll have to hit delete up here just to get rid of that 48 marker. And let's see, 22, maybe 24. Don't think 36. Yeah, that's too big. So we'll leave that at 24. Turn off bold. And now we'll have this just blank area at the end, and I'll just put the little circle P subscribe button here, and then a video on the left and a video on the right, and that'll fill that out once that's done. And then maybe if I want over here, as I'm talking, I can actually fade out. So if we click on fade down here, instead of adjusting and whatnot, we can actually just go here and make a fade. So let's see where I want to do that.
And if you want to see more videos like this, or just any kind of general tech videos, don't forget to subscribe if you're not a subscriber. And we'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.
That's fine, just like that. In fact, I might even go just a little touch more.
Subscribe if you're not a subscriber. And we'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.
Bam. In fact, I think we can even do a fade in over here like this. So it should now do this.
We'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.
And we can do one of those at the end over here too. So then when it gets to the 20 seconds, it fades out. Done. Simple. Not too bad. Sometimes I have a lot of little flubs and stuff I have to redo. Sometimes there's a lot of text I have to put in. So now we got to do those transitions. So let's see. We'll do maybe I like the cascades. We'll do one of those over here. And then we'll go over here to where I go from day to night. And we'll do one of these other ones. Maybe we'll do linear wipe or something. So now it should look like this.
Fullest. All right, well, it's about 9:30
And then
now.
the other one over here is going to look like this.
Welcome back. We're actually...
So that's pretty cool. So now obviously we save it. And what's nice about this program is it kind of does like an automatic save. Even though we didn't actually tell it to save, if you close out of this program here, it would tell you that, you need to save before you close out. So there's kind of a safety there. But if, something happened, like the computer shut down or whatever, it would actually recover this when you got back into it, which is pretty nice. But either way, definitely make sure we hit save. Sometimes I get paranoid. I hit it a couple times. And, well, now it's time to render this. So we'll click Make Movie. And obviously we have options. Now, people tell me, and I haven't tried it, but we'll possibly try it one day, but you don't want to click Upload to YouTube because it has to render it and then upload it. And apparently it takes longer because I guess it uploads it as it's rendering. I'm not really sure how that works, but I've just been told by other YouTubers and just watching how-to videos, don't even bother with this. Just save it to your computer and just go from there. So we're going to go save to my hard drive. And you see we do have some options over here. And we actually want to go to the MP4 format. And it's going to say, save your movie in the cam share folder. We don't actually want it there. You can actually see it creates a renders folder inside of the main episode 198 folder. We don't want that. We actually want to change this to go to the videos folder. And the other thing is by default, this program has different templates in it, but none of them are actually set up for 60 frames a second. I had to actually make a custom template to do that. So I'll go into advanced options here, and you can actually see I have this already set up. Let's just center this here. These are the different formats. So we're going to pick the Sony AVC format. And there are other ones over here set up to go, 1920, Blu-ray, yada, yada, yada. But it was just easier just to make my own template. So I start it, so I know it's my favorite. But it's YouTube 1920 by 1080, 60 frames a second. And you can see here the various aspects of it. But if you want, we can customize template. And this is where I change all those things. So it's a pretty high bit rate. There's no graphics card in this computer at the moment. So we're just using the CPU to render it. So it does take a little bit of time. And honestly, it seems like this program renders a lot slower than the Panasonic one did. I can possibly, maybe one day we'll do a video comparing the two, where I'll take a short video and we'll time it. We'll see which one actually is quicker than the other. But it seemed like the other program rendered a lot more quicker. But the caveat, you can only edit video that came off that camera. So in this particular situation, that's fine. All this came off the camera. And the little logo that I had in the beginning, that little beginning card, the start card, I'll call it, that has no problem getting in there because you can import pictures and stuff from the computer. But video, you cannot. So some of the ones like the mailbag episodes where I'm taking camera footage and I'm also taking recorded footage from my AverMedia live gamer portable here, I can't intermingle those two. With this program here, I can. And things that are like, let's say I'm recording in 30 frames a second with the AverMedia device, and I'm recording 60 frames a second with the camera. It will actually take the 30 frame per second sections and convert them to 60 frames. And all it's doing is it's just playing the same frame twice. So, but you don't have those capabilities, and this is obviously a program you pay for. The other one was free. The only thing about that is the download you had to have the serial number from the camera. But anyway, you can see just the quick basic things over here that we have set up for audio. Again, I have it set for a high sample rate, a high bit rate, and I just did that because I want it to look good and sound good. And that of course adds extra time to rendering. And well, project, everything's just set to be basically follow the project settings when you render it. And the only last thing to do over here is change where this is going. So you see we have the videos folder, and PTS YouTube episodes is where they all live once they're rendered, because I just want to keep them all in one folder. And then just hit render. So this is going to take a while. We're not going to sit here and watch this bar go. You can see in the background it's going frame by frame. In fact, when you're doing 60 frames a second, you can see how the frames just fly, and that number is just going to go like mad. And I can tell you right now, as this approximate time is just clicking up here, a 10-minute video is probably going to take this computer half an hour to render. And as I mentioned, the specs of this PC will be down in the description, but it's a 4790K processor. That's the fastest i7 you could buy at the time. It's running at 4 gigahertz. In fact, you're probably not going to hear it, but all the computer's fans are kicking into high gear over here. And yeah, it will render faster a little bit with the graphics card. The actual Panasonic program has the same option to do this, and you do need an NVIDIA card, but it'll actually tell you which is faster. So you might get a certain score with one, you might get a better score with the other, and it will recommend which one to go with. There is other options. I can tweak this if I want to try to use a different way to do that, but we're just going to let this go. In the meantime, we have to actually make a thumbnail, because that takes some time, and since we have nothing but time, we'll go ahead and do that. Now, this is a product review. Sometimes I go on a website and I get a picture of the product and I incorporate that into the actual thing. So let's see. Let's close out of this for now. No, I don't want to save that. We'll minimize this. We'll need that later. And we'll open up Chrome. Now, I do have 2 iterations of Chrome, one for myself personally and then one for Pileggi Technical Services. We'll just go to here because I like to keep them kind of segregated. But this is the Lux Pro LP345. Oops. Again, helps if I spell correctly. Like I said, I'm not the best typist. LP345. So let's see if we can find some stuff on this here. So let's see if we go to images. That's a pretty good one. Now there's a 900 by 900, there's 1200 by 1200. That's the one we're going to want. So in Google Images here, if we right click and let's see, we can save the image as, and we'll go to my folder here where I want to keep this. And I have a special spot just for that. If we go into data here, and in the Camp Share folder, there's a custom thumbnails folder. And if I do a screenshot or anything like that, or a picture on the camera, that's what all this here is. So we can actually save that here if I want. And we'll do episode 198. And I have a naming scheme for all these, so that'll save in here. And we can close these explorers. We don't need those. And then we go into my favorite my favorite graphics editing program, GIMP, which is a free program. It's very similar to Adobe Photoshop, except it's free. And you can use this on Mac, Linux, PC, it doesn't matter, it's the same experience. And GIMP stands for GNU Image Manipulation Program. It's not some guy in a rubber suit, so relax. But anyway, we'll go into File and Open. And we're going to go into, you can see I have these already set up down here as frequently used folders, but we'll go into New Thumbnails. I should say Originals. And we'll open up that folder with that picture here. And we also need to make a new one. And we're going to do a 1920 by 1080 background. And there that is. Now, it doesn't have to be this big, but it's nice when you make big thumbnails because it just comes out nicer when YouTube stretches it down. And then also some places it is shown large, depending on what format you have or what device you're using. So I just go ahead and by default make them this big anyway. So what I'll need to do also is open up some other things I have here. And right in the main custom thumbnails folder, I have the little circle P icon with the little transparency checkerboard in the background. And I also have a circuit board pattern. And this is a 512 by 512 pixel circuit board pattern. So if I go into here and I go to select all and then copy on the 1920 by 1080 background, I can actually fill this in with that background. So if I click on fill, go to pattern fill, click on the patterns, this very first box here is the clipboard. So when I paste this, you'll see, bam, there's the circuit board pattern in that repeating style stretched out to fit this. And there's probably, again, a million ways to do this. This is just the way I came up with, either on my own or via reading just how-tos. One of those things I'll show you that I read about. This one I kind of figured out my own. But then the other thing I need to do is just take this graphic and place it on top of this. So the easiest way I came up to do with that is to actually go into the fuzzy select tool and click the outline area here. We can zoom in. Zooming in, you just hold down Control and use your mouse wheel. And you can see there's a little bit of a shadow here. I don't really want that shadow necessarily. So if I actually have this tool selected and hit down select, if you do select, you might be able to see there's a little plus sign that comes up. And if you hit Control, you get a little minus sign. So you can add or take away different pieces of that fuzzy select. Now, it doesn't seem like I actually grabbed the larger image. I only got the 225 by 225 version. So I might need to actually go back and fix that. Just go here. And I might be able to get that from history. Let's see. Yeah. So I want the 1200 by 1200 one, which is that image. So we'll do this again. We'll save image as, and we'll go to 198 here, and we'll overwrite it, because that's going to make the picture a lot nicer looking. We're not going to get this fuzzy little picture. So we'll close these out. Don't need any of that. We'll close this out. We don't need that either. We can discard that, and then we can open up the original thumbnails, 198. Now we have this large image. Yeah, that's much nicer. So anyway, we'll fuzzy select that, and then we'll zoom in here a little bit, and holding down the shift key, we'll start to click the shadowy area. Now you see it did take some other parts of it. Sometimes a fuzzy select, it doesn't always work the way we want. So let's undo fuzzy select there. We might be able to even do this too. We can actually select all, and using an eraser, we can actually go ahead and erase that background there. Again, multiple ways to do this. This is just the way I happen to be doing it at this particular moment. We can actually zoom in here a little more. And I know this is a little over the top for just a little thumbnail, but after watching some of the YouTube courses that are available through the Creator Academy, you definitely learn a lot of little tricks, and having a good thumbnail is definitely something you want to do, because that's what's going to attract people to the video. And this is one of the reasons why I do it my particular way, because it's acting like a brand. My thumbnails are pretty consistent to each other. I see I faded out a little. You're not going to notice it. You don't have to be perfect with this. You just have to get the offending little dark areas underneath here out. And a combination of just steady hand and then zooming in and also changing the brush sizes is a good way to attempt this. We can just go ahead, just clean that right up like that. And we get nothing but time on our hands because we do have to wait quite a bit of time. In fact, you can see 9 minutes have elapsed already, and it's still saying there's 14 minutes left. Not terribly long. It's 41%, but it's only a 10-minute video. So it's roughly double the time. But that looks pretty good, I'd have to say. The rest of this should be fine. So now when we fuzzy select, it picked a lot more of it. Unfortunately, it is picking up some of these other areas over here. So if we want, we should be able to hold down Control and minus that out. And again, we have that some outlying areas over here. So we can just go ahead and just try to erase all these. Select all. Again, doesn't have to be perfect. You're not going to notice a lot of this. So now that we have a good enough of a thing selected, we just basically pick the white area. We want to invert that. So if you go to select invert, now we have everything inside this. So if I go in here and go cut, you see what we took? We should now be able to go in here and go to paste. And there it is. Bam, right on top. Perfectly centered, just the way we want it. Now we can move this around. We can put it anywhere we want, but I like it right there. It's good. So if you notice over here, there's layers. So the background's a layer. The floating selection is a layer. So this floating selection, we want to make that into a new layer. So I just right click to new layer. And there it is. So we can turn it on and off and see the background over it and whatnot. So what I want to do now is I want to make a little bit of a border. I want to be able to not make it look like this circuit board is bleeding into this. I want to make it look like it's kind of floating on top of it. And again, this is just something the way I like the way it looks. So if I go into this layer here, and I can name it, I can right click it here, or I should say double click it, and this changes to product. Because these can be edited later on, which is nice. So if I go in here now and actually right click this, go to alpha to selection, it's going to take this alpha layer that we looked at before, and it's going to pick all around it here. Then I click on the background layer. I go up to edit, I should say select, and then I go to grow. And then this is just like the outline we did with the other program. And we're going to grow the selection by 5 pixels. This is just my default thing. And now you can see it made that same border just around this area here. And since I have background selected, we're going to be doing everything on this background layer. So if I go back to the eraser tool, and we'll make this big, we can actually go ahead and erase that background right from the edges of this thing. So you see it disappearing there from the background. And also over here where it bled in, it's going to get rid of that bleed in. So just like that. So now if I go back up to select none and we zoom in a little bit, you can see those gray lines stop 5 inches away from this entire product image. And it just gives it a nice clean look. It makes it look like it's popping away a little bit. So the next thing to do is get my graphic on here, because I want to be able to have my viewers know this is one of my videos without reading the title or seeing who it's coming from. So my little circle P logo is one of the things we do this with. But anyway, we're going to select all and we'll go back to this main image. Actually, we have to copy it too since we're here. We'll do copy. And then when we get here, we can do paste. And I've already got this set up to be perfectly scaled for a 1920 by 1080 backdrop. And if we put that up here in the corner, you can see it's a layer. So we can put this on top or underneath another layer. And again, it's a floating selection, so we have to make this into a new layer. And we can just name this Circle P. And again, I'm going to go up here and go to Alpha to Selection, go back down to the background, go to Select, go to Grow, 5 pixels, and then we're going to delete out the background behind it. And to confirm this is working, we can actually shut off these pictures here and see, okay, so I missed a little spot there. But that's no big deal because it's being covered by the image. You're not going to really see that at all. Now, there's one last thing to do is put the text on top of this. So again, we're going to go to our Excel file. We're going to right-click the font that I already have here, the text, and then go back to GIMP. Select the text tool, and this is just getting centered right over the entire thing. Paste, and then this doesn't take any formatting with it, so we do have to change that. We can just type it in. It is you do have to do it in capitals, so if I just do lowercase f, it's not going to pull up. It pulls up the list, but as you start typing it in, it disappears. So you actually have to do capital F to get that up, and then I usually start off with 200 pixels, and that's a pretty good size, but you see it's kind of bleeding into the circle P over here, so we have to change this just a little bit. So if I hit enter, it does fix it just a tad, but there's still this little piece over here where it's under the circle P. So we'll just clean this up, but now it's too far to the end. So if I select all the text and just start nudging this down till we get to where we want it. And this is a little bit of a fine-tuning thing. That looks pretty good right there. And sometimes you might have to trick this by expanding that out just like that. And also, it helps if you drag this layer to the top. So there it is, 198, yada, yada, yada. We'll just adjust these boxes a little bit like that. So this actually looks pretty centered to the thing here. And, well, you can probably tell there's a little bit of an issue going on here where this is kind of bleeding into everything. So what I do is, again, with alpha deselection, we can go like that. And we can actually do something different here. We can make a new layer. And when you go in here, we can do that grow again. And what we'll do this time is we'll swap black and white over here so white's our predominant color. And then we can fill in right on top of this text, just like that. Oh, I should back out here. You got to change pattern fill back to foreground fill. So now we have this white font that's 5 pixels bigger than the black font. And when we rearrange it here and put the black font back on top of it, there we go. So I'll hit select none, and then we'll zoom in here a little bit, and we'll get to see the desired effect. So you can see how this 8 not only cuts into the product, but it also cuts into the circuit board background. And you can see a clear difference between black and white. And even though there's stuff going on like the background and the little pattern on the strap and all that stuff over here, you can clearly see 3, 4, 5 superimposed on top of it. So if I just zoom out over here, you can see that's a pretty clear picture. The only thing you can't get rid of is the dotted line around the text. I'm sure there's ways to not see that, but you know, we're not going to be concerned with that. So we can actually take this all the way down to just the background and that, and you can see just all the white spaces here. But that's it. That's what I'm going to use for my thumbnail. It's important to note, if you move this text or anything like that, you're going to have to redo all the white spacing because it's a whole different layer. So I've had times where I didn't like the way it looked and I've had to go in and touch that back up. But this looks good. That's the desired effect I want. It's got my logo. It's got the name of the episode. You know it's one of my videos right off the bat. And again, with the naming of the episodes, you can see my name is right there, PTS. You know it's me. And you also have a picture of the product. So it just all ties in together. And again, there's many different ways to do this. Everyone has their own thought process. This is just my particular way. But anyway, it's time to save that. So I'm going to go save as, and I need to go into that folder that we have all these in. Now, this is the new thumbnails folder this time. And this is going to be episode 198. So we'll just name that real quick. Save. And then we're also going to render it to that folder. So we'll do export as, and by default, it does PNG files. Now, you can only do up to 5 megabyte files. And JPEGs are smaller than PNG, so we'll just do a JPEG like that. Then it asks what quality you want. I don't need anything greater than 90, frankly. So I just say export. Bam, that's it. Just takes a couple seconds. No longer need this program. We can close out. Now it says there's all these things unsafe. Yeah, we don't need that. We can just discard all those changes. That's it. Nothing really else to do except just wait for this thing to finish rendering. So I'm just going to minimize this in case I need it for something later. But there is, well, 3 minutes left. I'm not going to bore you by talking for 3 minutes. I'll just cut this recording right now, and I'll see you guys in just 3 minutes. All right, here it is just finishing up. You get to this point where it tells you there's approximate time of 0 seconds left, but it's not over until it's over. And you get the little boodoo, and then the little icon at the bottom here turns yellow like this, and then now you have the option to actually open up the file if you want. We can just hit close. Again, I hit save just to be extra safe, and close out of the program. And just out of curiosity, I wanted to see, after I got done recording this video you're watching, what it actually looked like. And yeah, didn't realize it was as long as it was. But when you go to explain stuff, you have to be pretty thorough. So in reality, I know I added a little bit more to it, but that was an hour and 14 minutes worth of video up to this point, obviously, just to get that 10-minute video done and the thumbnail. But anyway, off to YouTube now. So again, we'll go into my other account here.
Pileggi Technical Services.
And this is actually one of my newer channels I'm working on, but we'll go to the main Pileggi Tech channel here. And well, this is what it looks like as a YouTuber. This is my channel viewing as myself, and I hit upload up here. And right away, these are private. They're not public until they're actually completed. I can schedule them if I want, but I just like to do it this way. And if I go into that videos folder, we can see that there's a YouTube episode folder here. And this is every episode I've ever done. So this is a very, very big folder. But let's see, there's 198 should be down here at the bottom. And that's it. I just click that, and it will take some time to upload, about 37 minutes. So you can see I do have a pretty good connection. While I'm here, I can do some rudimentary things. For example, my upload status. This is where my video is going to be live at. Now, this is YouTube's shortened video section here. So if you actually look, this youtube.be/ and then this code at the end, this is the actual address for the particular video. So if I click that, it'll open up a new window, and this is going to give you the full name up here. And every video everywhere has this simple little code over here. So really, all you need is that code, and the rest of it's the same. So if I actually right-click this and copy link address and go back to my Excel sheet, this is where this is generated from. So if I click that in here and then hit enter on it, or double-click it, it'll convert that over to a link. So if I watch episode 187, I can just click that, and it should open up my browser and bring me to 187. But anyway, that's pretty obvious. But this is going to take some time to upload and process and everything else. And again, we're not going to sit and watch all that. But I can also upload the custom thumbnail while I'm here. So we'll go back into here, and we'll do all this now. That's in the data folder, cam share, custom thumbnails, new thumbnails, and it should be right on top because I have this in date order. And that'll come in down here. And this is where I can set if I want to be public or private or whatnot. Now, looking at this thumbnail small like this, you can see it's kind of not the clearest thing. Now, sometimes that does happen. They mentioned you want to be able to convey the thought of your video in as small as a picture as possible. So perhaps, this particular one I can redo to make it a little nicer looking, but I tend to find that a lot of times when I watch other videos, at least not when I watch them, when I'm in YouTube, we'll just open up a new tab over here. You can see I get pretty big things going on here. So I'm not going to see a little thumbnail. I see pretty big thumbnails. So of course, everyone has their own thing. Big Clive, for example, he just takes a picture. Everyone has their own different thing. Some people make their own graphics like this. That's just how I like them. When I go into my channel and I view my videos, you can see, you got a big one right here. You got these other small ones. Something like this is probably a nicer one than something like that. I mean, when you look at it big like that, it's nice, but when you look at it small, it's kind of hard to see. This one you can still kind of see. You know, sometimes I do black with white, sometimes I do white with black. It depends on what the picture is. So, I know everyone has their own preference. Again, that's just the way I do it for now, at least. I'm sure eventually at some point I'll change it again, but let's just close out of this for now. And we'll go back to this editing. Now, in here, this is where I get to actually change stuff. Now, this is default. There's actually a place you go in and change that. So every single episode, or upload at least, will have this default thing. And then all I have to do is go into the top here and fix all this. So this is where I'll provide a link to the product. I'll put down all the information like the specs and whatnot, and that'll all get typed out here. And since I uploaded the file, it named it, but it didn't take any of the special characters like the period, the dash, and all that stuff. So I can actually again grab that from here, and you can kind of see, I think by now, why I actually like doing this with the Excel sheet, because it just makes it that much easier. I can just paste that right over, and I don't have to type anything; it's just already there. And the only other thing to do here is, besides typing that in, is putting in my tags. So again, these are default, and I'll put in the name of the product, the item number, lux, lumen, LED. I'll type all those out here, and then we'll play with some of this other stuff. Like, I don't have anything translated at the moment. Monetization, this is where you set where your ads are, and if you want to monetize it at all. Of course I am, because I want to try to make some money off these videos somehow. Advanced settings is also where you set up what the category is, where the location was, and so on and so forth. So this is the location here. I'm actually going to move this to where the campsite was, since that's where I took the video. So if I move this over here, there's actually let's see, this green area here, I believe, is Fawnstock State Park. No, that's Franklin D. Roosevelt. We'll have to find where that is. It's actually over here. And they don't have this listed as being a state park, but it is indeed a state park. Canopus, Fawnstock restrooms, Fawnstock bathroom. Well, it was pretty much in this area here. It was more over this way, so we'll just leave it like that. But yeah, that's the location where that's going to be. Record date, that was actually on Monday the 8th, so I'll put that in there. And all these other ones were set by default. If I get like product reviews and stuff like that from stuff people were sent me, I click on the content declaration over here for paid promotions, and then usually for it adds a little thing here if you click this box at the corner of the screen to tell you that it is indeed a paid promotion. But we're not going to do that, obviously, because I bought the thing. And we can change, the category. I'm not a fan of these categories. Like, for example, how to and style. You would think that's for the people who do makeup. But if I'm telling you, like, for example, this is a how-to video, you would think I would put that there. But it's also kind of a blog video in a way. So it's kind of like ambiguous to where you put these things. I wish they had like subcategories, or maybe more categories, or maybe when you moused over this, it came up with a little description box to tell you what type of videos would fit that. We're going to leave it as my default science and technology, because it's a product review of an LED light. So technically, I guess it's science and technology. Most of my videos live in that category anyway. And where you want to syndicate it, all these things are just kind of basic YouTube things, but we're going to leave all that. And to save you all the time of typing, I'm just going to go ahead and fill this thing out. And as you can see, I have the whole description typed in, and I went as far as to actually put in the description of the package, so you have the whole specs here as as available to me, and I even included a link to the product. So to do this shortened version of it, I went to Lowe's website and looked for the item here, as you can see, and then I actually copied the address at the top here and went to Google URL shortener. So I'll just do that like that, paste, and then when you hit shorten URL, it gives you this nice short code. And I like doing it this way because some of these things can get quite long, and you only have really so many characters to type into the description page. So this helps shorten things up a bit. And what's nice about descriptions is you can just put in a ULR code like this, and then it'll become clickable later on. So I use that quite a bit. Something like long, like my Facebook page, it's short anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But all these other ones, I'll just do it like that. But yeah, so I just did that. I extended this line out a little bit because the default one, it doesn't seem like it goes more than a couple characters, so I have to actually just finish that in. And then I gave it some tags, and the tags were just what I thought people might look for. So if they try to go in for Lux Pro LP 345 review, like that's here. I can probably fuss a couple, around this a little bit and add a couple more if I really decide to need to. But I think it's pretty good for now. And I added this to a couple playlists, my master playlist, which of course every single video goes into. And I also put it into the tool review one, which is where I also have other flashlight reviews and stuff, which are actually pretty popular for me. And the only other thing to do is I keep this at private. And once this is done uploading, it's going to process. So I'll come back in a few minutes. I'll show you that. And perhaps we'll go so far as to even show you the end cards and stuff like that too. And just to give a little bit of an update, what ended up happening was it finished uploading, and now YouTube is processing it. And since this was actually set up to render in a YouTube-friendly format, there's not very much processing to do. So you can see it's going by pretty quickly. It just finished uploading and immediately shot up to like 50%. So it's just going to do some final processing, and I will come back and show you how to put end cards in. And here we can see processing is now done. It didn't take very long at all. And you know it's done by now only seeing the processing done tab at the top. But you can also notice that you have a thumbnail that you can look at. So if we go in here, you might not actually have 1080p right off the bat. Like you can see it's only 360p. Even though we uploaded in 1080, YouTube actually downgrades it. So here's our episode. We're not going to go through it. You guys already saw it. But everything's already set to go here. Obviously, comments are currently unavailable because it is a private video. But if we go into end cards, this is where I can just insert these. And again, since this recently was redid, I still have all these coming up by default. We'll just shut that out. But we can add element. We can go to subscribe, and it'll put this little link in the middle here. And it's nice to give you a little guide, so we'll just smack that right in the middle. But you can't just do that. One of them has to be a video. So we can go and do new video. We'll do most recent upload. And we'll put that there. And we'll also do a playlist. We'll do the tool playlist. So if I go down here and then go to playlists, look for tool reviews, pop that in place. And again, put that there, line it up with the other ones. So now when we hit preview, it should show us that, which is perfect. That's just what we want. And it's just going to go through that to the end, and then the Pileggi Technical Services title at the top will fade off after the 20-second mark. And by default, I have this little card pop up at the bottom as well to show off all the episodes. And here's that fade off, and away it goes. So we can hit save on that, and then we can insert a card if we want. And maybe
Welcome back.
Right there, we'll do a link to a video or a link to a channel or something. We can go ahead and just fuss with this if we want. We can perhaps do I don't know. I'll just pick one randomly out of here. Just find one of them at all. Show my LED light for my camera. That's fine. And you can insert up to 5 cards wherever you want. And obviously there's other options for cards. I've done ones like donations and polls and stuff like that. Frankly, no one really clicks them, honestly. So I just worry about the video ones. And you can go into analytics and all the other stuff and play with it and see how many of these are popular and getting used, and subjects for another time. But really, that's it. I mean, at this point, I can either make this video public right now at 2:56 in the morning, Saturday, well, Sunday morning now at this point, or I can schedule it, and I will schedule it. This will be my Tuesday video. So usually when I share this, I grab part of the description here and I put that in, and we're going to make this for Tuesday at 8 o'clock p.m., and that's Eastern Standard Time. Usually when I like to have my videos uploaded, and just set it for local time and just publish. So that's it. So now at Tuesday the 16th at 8 p.m., this video will become public. And by the time you're watching this one, it probably already is. So once this video here is uploaded to YouTube, I'll probably go back to this episode 198 and make that an end card, take you to this how-to video, and probably link you to this new channel as well. And of course, I'm probably going to have an announcement on that channel as well, my main one, of course, for this new channel. And, well, that's pretty much it. There's nothing really else I can explain. That's the whole kit and caboodle from step 1 to step probably 50 by now. But that's how you make episodes for YouTube, or at least how I do it. The only other thing I think I can do is, we'll just click done on here, close out of that, and while we're here, we'll just click play for a second, see that this is a 10-minute, 21-second video. I'll just put that in here, 10:21, and we'll do the date. Now I have this set up where that's going to be the 16th. I can just do 05/16/2017, and automatically formats it like that. Done. Save that, and that's it. Well, with that, I want to thank you guys for watching. Subscribe to this channel if you want to see other interesting things that don't fit onto the main PTS channel. And there will be other channels coming out in the very soon actually, in the near future, I should say. I have a Cooking with Crispy channel, and also have a PTS gaming channel where we'll do some like playthroughs and just general gaming stuff, because I just feel like doing that kind of stuff. I think it'd be a lot of fun. And well, thanks. We'll see you guys next time.